Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated, and thank you for being with me. It is great to be with you today. The 53-man roster is out, the initial, and I just got done speaking to General Manager Tom Telesco. Got a lot to get into. We're going to literally go over all 53. We're going to actually talk about 54 because there's one person placed on IR. All 54 guys. We're going to talk about it, give some analysis of each one, why some guys made the roster. Then we're going to break it down and look in position groups. The Raiders are heavy at linebacker. We know that. We're going to get into that and a lot more on this broadcast. So I know you're going to want to join us. If you have a roster, get it. If you don't, but you want to take notes to be prepared for your team, you should. Let's dig right into it. Let's start with the quarterbacks. We knew exactly what they were going to be, Gardner and Aiden. I've been hinting to you the last few days that I was hearing about the possibility of going with two quarterbacks. They executed it. They're going to try to bring Carter Bradley back, but no third quarterback just so impressed them that if they were to lose any of them, I mean, they cut Nathan, but if they were to lose Carter, um, I think there would be some disappointment, but it wouldn't be earth shattering to them. But they expect to get him back and he'll be signed to the practice squad. So the quarterback situation is handled. We know that. Zamir White, we know exactly he's the workhorse behind this. His job was never in jeopardy. He is exactly what he is. He is a young man with very little tread on the tires, despite all the success. We've talked about that ad nauseum, so I'm not going to get into it now. But tremendous potential there with Zamir White, and of course they kept him. Amir Abdullah is a guy that they really like. He's been around forever. He's great in special teams. He's great in the locker room. He's a great backup running back. He is a change of pace back, but does every special teams. Alexander Madison backs up Zamir, but if something should happen to Zamir, you still have him and Amir Abdullah. Dylan Labe, a rookie. This is the first rookie that we've talked about today. Came in, did a lot of really good stuff early. I think lost a little bit of steam the last part of camp. Lost a little bit of steam, but you know what? He still showed enough. I told you guys the day he was drafted. I told you the day he was drafted, he's going to make this team. You can go back and look at my podcast when he was selected. And the fact that you're getting a guy in the rounds where you got him, which you normally hope they make the practice squad, that tells you very good draft pick. Showed a lot in camp, impressed a lot of people. Tough kid. Tough kid. By the way, I learned a lesson the other day. I accidentally called it Sonic the raccoon, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog. He's kind of a little Sonic the Hedgehog guy. And boy, my mother is happy. She's from Providence. And so my mother, he comes from New Hampshire and he's got the accent of the out east. And my mother is, in fact, I was joking with Dylan the other day. I said, I don't know how much you get per jersey, but my mom donated to your future kids' college fund by getting your jersey. So my mom is thrilled. So there you go, mom. Happy for you. Next, we know about AJ Cole, the best in the business. Daniel Carlson, the best in the business. Jake and Bob and Moore, one of the best. There was zero issues. Nobody had a chance, period. Then we start getting into wide receiver. We know that Trey Taylor is Trey Tucker. Uh, he's had a great camp. He had an awesome OTAs, awesome mini camp, great camp, a little bit of issues in the middle of it, but he still played well. And Trey Tucker is an emerging star in this team. Davante Adams is Davante Adams. Jacoby Myers, throughout the entire offseason, including OTA minicamp and um, all of the training camp, the best offensive player on the team, and it just hasn't been close. DJ Turner. Really, really happy for DJT. You guys know I've known him a long time. I have a great relationship with him. Super, just love the kid, and I'm very happy for him. He's a Jacoby um, Myers protege type player. They do nearly exactly a lot of the same stuff. I think he may be a little faster, but he does a lot of the things that Jacoby does. If Jacoby were to go down, he would step right up into that spot. He's a terrific wide receiver. There was no doubt. I told you before we even left Costa Mesa. In fact, I think there was a week left in Costa Mesa. If I'm wrong there, I'm not lying, but I think it was a week left. I said he made the roster. Another guy made the roster, Tyreek McAllister. And I'm going to give this guy a lot of credit. When he got signed, he was a CFL special team star. And he was a long shot to make this roster. But he'd been signed by Champ Kelly, and they just had an eye for him, what he could do. And he came in. And remember, I talked about before camp, Britton Brown, Sincere McCormick, two guys that, and I told you the same thing about Anthony Brown. They had to be prepared. They weren't going to come in and get a lot of reps. But when the guys ahead of them struggled, they had to shine. Had to. And McAllister, every single time he got a chance, he shined. He didn't get a lot of them early, but I talked with him about him a few times in Costa Mesa, then a couple of times in Vegas, and he just kept making plays. And then when he was given the platform of the last game, he made it. I'm going to tell you right now, he was not a shoe-in to make it going into the last game. In fact, if I would have had to, based on my conversations, if I would have had to have guessed, I would have guessed he would have been probably on the outside of the bubble going into the game, but told you afterwards he made it. Just made the most of every opportunity. Ramal Keaton, another wide receiver, makes it. So this kid, very much like Tyreek, he busted his tail in special teams drill. We were down in Costa Mesa, and I don't remember what day it was, but we were down in Costa Mesa, and he was running all over the field on every special teams unit, asking, "Can I play? Can I go in? Punt, kicks, punt." I mean, he just was any opportunity that he could have played, any opportunity that opened the door, Ramel Keaton wanted in. That's if you were going to write a book, how to make an NFL team as a UDFA, it would have been the story of Ramel Keaton. The kid, and going into San Francisco, I would have had him on. I did have him on the outside looking in, and that's after talking to people on the inside. But he just kept making plays, and he had some reps against the very good San Francisco 49ers, twisted some guys, turned some guys around, and really made a statement. And he won a spot on the roster. Good for Ramel. Next, let's talk about tight ends. Michael Mayer, he's your starter. This kid's going to really show up and show out this year. Brock Bowers, we know how good he's going to be. I mean, he's another rookie. In fact, let me go back. I didn't mention this, but Ramel Keaton is obviously a rookie. I apologize. I didn't. And Tyreek, I didn't give them the credit that they deserve for making it as rookies. Brock Bowers, though, he's going to be very, very special. But I'm going to talk about a guy that when they signed him, I told you he was an underrated sign, Harrison Bryant. I thought there was a shot that Cole Fotheringham would make this as the fourth tight end. I know going into Sunday, there was a very strong feeling that he was on the bubble, but probably leaning to be in. But after watching film, and this was even early this morning, after watching film, They just made the decision that they were going to stick with 3 and maybe keep some other guys in some other spots. I don't think Cole is done if another team picks him up there, but I think you could see him back with the Raiders very easily. He was a guy super close on the bubble that just didn't make it. But Harrison Bryant, he did everything they asked. He was clearly the third best tight end, and there were days he was not the third. He played really well. This young man came in not angry, not mad, same as Michael Mayer because they put a big investment into Bowers. No, he just came in and worked his tail off. I'm going to tell you right now, I understand when you got a guy like Bowers that's never done it and Michael Mayer, who last year was injured early, you can't declare this today, but I think I'll be stunned when the year's over if these 3 men are healthy that we're not saying the Raiders have the best tight end room in all of the National Football League. Let's go to the offensive line. Kolton Miller, stud. Stud. Kolton freaking Miller. Well, I can't give him that because that's Tommy Eichenberg's nickname, but Kolton Stud Miller. One of the best left tackles in all of football. I think in the past, if the Raiders had done a couple of things different, he would even be considered among the elite tight ends. When I say elite, I'm talking top 3 or 4. Um, I love everything about Kolton Miller. I love him as a person, love him as a guy, a dude. I love him as a football player. Kolton Miller, rock solid. Rock solid. Jackson Powers Johnson. He's got 2 weeks now before the season. 2 weeks. 2 weeks to demonstrate something. Can he win a starter's job? Or does he start as a backup? There was some consideration of putting him on IR that would have allowed him to keep a Fotheringham or a Will Putnam. But he's good to go. He's ready to work. So he keeps his spot on the roster. Another rookie, by the way. Big shout out to him. Andre James has had a great camp. This is a guy you may remember after the Raiders signed him to an extension after he became the starter. Every year, media and pundits been talking about, well, the Raiders are going to cut him. Well, no, the Raiders aren't. They extended him this year. Andre James, he is a great center. And I think he is tracking and trending towards being an elite one. Very good job. Very good. Very happy for Andre. Another guy. Just love everything about him. Dylan Parham, another guy. Love me some Dylan Parham. Raider, Nister, been Nister reliable since he's been a Raider. Been a little bit of an adjustment to the right side, but I think part of that adjustment was he always had Kolton Miller to his left. Now he's got another young player in Thayer Mumford next to him. So I don't necessarily think the struggles that a lot of people have seen, and I know this in the building, they're not as concerned of a couple of things that have appeared to be struggles because of some youth to the outside of him. And there's a couple times that maybe it appeared that he struggled that he really didn't. So not worried about Dylan. Great for him. Next, Cody Whitehair. I've been telling you all, great camp. They don't need to rush JPJ. No need for it. No need for it. And but if he beats Cody, he beats him, and he's younger, and a tie is going to go to him. Remember, a tie always goes to youth. Never forget that, because you want to develop those guys. Because if you're a vet, let's say you're a 6-year vet and you're going against a rookie. Well, if you and the rookie are tied, then he's clearly has more upside than you because you're 6 years in the league. You should be exponentially better. So we're going to see. But Cody Whitehair, great camp. He played well. Andrus Peat offers you great flexibility. He's been a guard forever. Started the transition last year with Narlands at tackle. Played a little bit of tackle this year. You saw him get blown up in the Minnesota game, but he's coming. He's a good piece to have. Delmar Glaze, they love him. Do I expect a lot from him this year? No, but they knew there is no way we can hide him on the roster. And if you should see Kolton to get injured this year, I would not be shocked if he goes to starting right and they move Thayer over to left. Delmar Glaze is the real deal. Great. That's another rookie. Another great draft pick. Thayer Mumford, right tackle, can play left. Really, really solid camp. This is his first shot being a starter. Was his camp, as good as Colton's would have been? No. But remember, I just talked about younger players. Colton's supposed to be better than Thayer, but Thayer's coming and he's getting there. Good kid. Then last I want to talk to you about Jordan Meredith. This is a guy like Will Putnam they really, really liked. They didn't get time with Putnam to see how he would do at guard. So it came down to him and Meredith. I can tell you, Meredith was on the outside looking in, but the last week at camp, he just took giant steps. And I thought, personal opinion going into Sunday after some conversations I had, that he was going to be on the outside looking in. But the more they just on Sunday and then part of Monday and even coming in a little bit into late into the morning today, just kept watching his film. Things he did kept standing out. He earned it. So congratulations to Jordan Meredith. Next, let's talk about the 4 defensive ends. Max Crosby, best in the league. Zero concern there. Janarius Robinson, we've been telling you about him the entire offseason. If you were to take a architect and design a blueprint to what a defensive end looks like, size, speed, strength, body shape, it would be C. Janarius Robinson. Struggled a little bit early in camp, was good in OTAs, good in mini camp, came into camp with big expectations, big ones. A little bit of a struggle early, but he just came on and put the breakdown pedal to the metal and took off and won his job. Very proud of Janarius. Next, Malcolm Koonce. You know about Koonce, and he had a great offseason. I fully expect this young man to have a great year and earn big bank. I think somebody emailed me once and said, should the Raiders pay big bank? I said bank or bag, I don't remember, to Dak Prescott. So let me just say this. Koonce is playing for bag or bank, as kids say it today. He's playing for big money. And the way he's playing, he's going to get it. Last, Tyree Wilson. I told everybody there was zero concerns about him. The feeling around the NFL was whoever took him last year was going to be a red shirt. I told you that the night they picked him. Then they get him. Chandler Jones was Chandler Jones. You know all about that. But the thing that I would make clear to you, this is very important for you to understand. Very, very important for you to understand. Was that Tyree Wilson, they're looking at it as the start of a rookie year. Now, there are some things I think people evaluate him for that are unfair. Very unfair. But he's got to get his get off quicker. I shared this with you the night he was drafted, and this is what I love about the digital age. You can go back and watch those podcasts from the draft. Playing where he played, he was bigger, faster, stronger, like Janarius Robinson. Actually, even faster than Janarius and bigger as far as wingspan, I believe. But he was able to overpower guys. He's going to have to learn to trust his technique. But in the eyes of the NFL and the Raiders, this last year was a red shirt. So I understand fans don't want to have a lot of grace with him, but the Raiders do. Now, let's keep going. Let's talk about linebackers because they took a ton of them. 7 of them. And I will tell you, I'm not a betting person on football because I cover it, and I think that would be immoral. But if I was a betting man on football, I'd bet you $1 to a donut that they're not going to have 7 of these guys going into the season. Matter of fact, just talked with Tom Telesco a few minutes ago, and his exact words were, "Well, we're a little heavy at linebacker." So clearly that's an area, but these are 7 guys that, unless they can upgrade in other places or a linebacker, there's no sense letting guys that they think are quality go that they don't think they can keep on the practice squad. Let's start Tommy freaking Eichenberg. He's not going to start on the IR. This is the heir apparent to Robert Spillane, not even close to going after Robert's job. I think Robert will get an extension, but this guy is the future of Raider Nation at the Mike linebacker, and he's a stud. That's why we nicknamed him Freaking Tommy freaking Eichenberg, and he earned the nickname. Next, Spills, Robert Spillane. Great guy, great player, great Raider. Elite. What a guy. Amari Burney. I know there was a lot of people. I thought that he would make the roster in my projection that I gave you this morning, but I thought he would make it because there would be some guys on IR. There was only one that made IR this time. So he makes the roster. Good for Amari. Showed, only in his second year. Showed some things. Then you got Divine Diablo. We already know about the Diablo. And, starter. He's a tackling machine. No doubts with him whatsoever. Luke Masterson, there was no concerns. I don't know. I knew there were some fans that thought maybe he'd lose to Gainer. My biggest shock on this, and I'm going to get to this, and I'll just get to that in a minute, but I don't think Luke's job was ever in doubt. Next, Amari Gainer played out of his mind. Played out of his mind. This kid got better every day throughout camp. I'll have a lot more to say on him in the coming days. You'll find out why in a minute, but he's a great addition to the Raiders, and he offers them some versatility. He'll play a lot now in situations where they do 3 backers, but very, very good to see Amari Gainer. I'm going to talk next about the 7th linebacker that make it, Kana Mawaga. I did my podcast last night, and one of the viewers even emailed and said, "What do you think, Gainer or Mawaga?" And I said, "Oh, if that's the guess, you're going to go with Gainer," and that was accurate. I did not think he was going to make the roster because I would have given it a snowball's chance in hell that they would have kept 7. I'll get more into that in a minute. But he played that well that they looked and said, "All right, we don't think he'll clear waivers to put him on practice. And if we can't find somebody better to add to the roster somewhere else, we don't want to just give him away." But really, really like Kana Mawaga. Did nothing wrong. Second year guy, did nothing wrong, had a good camp. I just thought there were too many backers that were having a good camp, not enough room. But you know what? One of my favorite Bible verses is your gift will make room for itself. Well, clearly that was true because his gift made room for him on a roster where carrying 7. Wow. Next, let's go to the corners. JB. Told you all off season. I mean, I want you to think about this. There was a lot of folk last year. Cut him. He's terrible. Kept telling you, Raiders haven't given up on him. Rookie year. Give the guy a little space. You can't teach the gifts that he's got. Can't teach it. Cannot teach it. So you know what? Good for JB. He's the starter. Next to Cameron Richardson, another rookie. He's right there. He's the 4th or 5th corner. If Face is healthy, Face would be the 4th. If Brendan Faison is maybe still getting better, DeCamerion's the 4th, but that young man's going to be special. He's good. I like him a lot. He's good. He's very, very good. MJ Devonshire. You've seen him on this podcast. Great kid. Another Pittsburgh Panther from the lair of my good friend Pat Narduzzi, the head coach of Pittsburgh. Great to see MJD make the roster, him and DJT, couple of Pitt Panthers. But MJ, I'll tell you, coming in, I had him as a practice squad guy. And to his credit, he made this ball club because he took every bit of coaching to heart. He was incredibly teachable and made the roster. All right, next we come to Nate Hobbs, best slot corner in the NFL, and Jack Jones, a man that I think is going to be an all-pro and be the best corner in the best corner on the Raiders by far, and I think he'll be an all-pro. Then you go in again, I told you about Face. When he's healthy, he's been an elite player in this league. Not good, he's been an elite, been a Pro Bowler. But got bit by the injury bug last year and this year. But they think he's coming back, and there's just too much talent to throw that away on that risk. So there you go. Face. If I think they could get someone else, an upgrade corner, I think they would consider it. But it has to be somebody already playing well because they know what Face can do. Brandon Faison, excuse me. Then we come to safeties. Trayvon Merrick, he's playing at a great level. What a camp he's had. Chris Smith, another guy people were, he sucked last year as a rookie. Had a great camp, had a big pick in the San Francisco game. He's had a good camp. Marcus Epps, one of the best safeties in all of the NFL. Look at what happened to Philly when they let him go. This is why it's so risky when teams let an older guy go for a guy that's cheaper. You lose that leadership. Epps does things that do not show up on a stat sheet. Isaiah Palomal, told you all along, guy made this camp. I mean, he was playing nickel corner. He was, right in there. This is a guy that was getting in with the ones. Isaiah Palomal, just wonderful kid, and it's so good to see him growing up and doing well. Then we come to defensive tackle, where they only kept 5. This surprised me. This surprised me because I know what they were thinking. But you have Byron Young, had a good camp. Nesta Jade Silvera came on, started a little slow, but that young man, starting with the day the pads came on, he played his way back on the roster. Christian Wilkins, the best in the NFL. Adam Butler. I mean, Adam Butler is so underrated. Him and Dylan Parham may be the 2 most underrated Raiders. I mean, the guy, most people don't even know this. I'm going to give you a stat about Adam Butler. It's going to blow your mind. He had 6 sacks last year. The fact that NFL teams were not willing to go outbid the Raiders. Now, the Raiders paid him everything he was worth. The fact that other teams were not willing to go outbid the Raiders to me was stunning. But it's great to have AB back. Again, very underrated D tackle. John Jenkins. Jank. He's a starter with Christian Wilkins. Another stud. Another fighter. Great player. I'm not as concerned about the Raiders' defensive line as others seem to be. And then lastly, the 54th guy. I know it's a 53-man roster. Trey Taylor, the rookie. He starts on IR, but they've designated they're going to bring him back to the 53-man roster when he's healthy. So it's good for Trey Taylor. So let's break it down. 2 quarterbacks. I told you that was probably coming. You weren't surprised. 4 running backs. No surprise there. Wide receiver 6. No surprise. Tight ends 3. Not surprised at all. In fact, all offseason I'd been projecting to you. I thought they would keep 3. Yes, and this morning in my projected, I had 4 just because the way I thought some positions may fall out with IR, but it didn't fall out that way. So again, 3 tight ends. Offensive lineman 9. I thought there was a good shot they could have gone to 10. A long shot, but a good shot. In fact, this morning I had him at 8. But earlier in camp, I thought there maybe was a shot at 10. Then a couple guys kind of fell off a little bit, but they go with 9. Defensive lineman, I thought they'd go 10. They went 9. They let Matthew Butler go. Very surprised there. Just because Butler had really come on all offseason, had a great, great offseason. So, but I think it just became a numbers game. They had so many other good. Linebackers 7. Wow. I asked Tom Telesco today about trades or the possibility of signing some other guys on waiver wires, and he totally agreed that the staff was searching and looking at everything right now. I'll be stunned if we get to game day and against the Bolts and there are 7 linebackers on the roster. I'll be shocked. Safeties 4, 5 if you count Taylor, but there you go. Then corners 6, and of course 3 specialists. I want to talk to you about one fact. If you count Trey Taylor, who's the 54th on IR, 10 rookies, if not 9. So you kept your entire draft class. That's 2 in a row, boys and girls. That is an amazing drafting. And you throw in some UDFAs. Then look at, you got some other guys that you have at UDFA money, Janarius Robinson and others. Kanamawaga. This Raider roster, the managing of money, it's got to be refreshing to Raider Nation the way that Tom Telesco's approaching the salary cap. Same thing you saw with Dave Ziegler, now carrying on with Tom Telesco. That should excite you. So let's talk about it. I'll be doing on Tuesday my second look at my predictions. But let's talk about this for a minute. Oh, before I do, real quick, if you are a member, please watch the members only video. I'll be posting another member only video this weekend, probably Sunday or Monday, letting you know about our first event. I'm getting word from some people. They're trying to join the page. It's $4.99 a month, and they can't find the join button. I'm told if you can't find it, you're probably having the problem because you're on an Apple phone. Try an Android or a regular computer. I'm not an IT person. I have no idea. It's just what I was told. Or you can email YouTube and Google and ask them. But I've had a couple people say they had a problem, and then that's how they fixed it. We have a members only program, which is $4.99 a month. You are losing nothing. So I want to make this clear. We're not taking anything away from you. If you enjoy the free YouTube, don't worry, or the free podcasts, if you get them on audio or wherever you watch them, if you watch them, well, obviously you do, but wherever you watch them, we're not taking anything from you. We're still having a podcast every single day, but we're just adding something on top of it, like a cherry on top of the Sunday. I don't eat those anymore because I ate too many when I was younger, but like the mushrooms, the morels. You ever had a fresh picked morel? I'm from Michigan where you find them right out in the woods. Just cut yourself a nice filet mignon, grill it, and throw some nice morels on top of it with a little bit of butter. It's like a morel. It's just an extra special treat for people who became members. And if you do become a member, you got to email me quickly the directions that you'll see in the member only video so you don't miss any coverage. But we have a special event coming up twice a month, 12 months a year for our members only. Now, getting into it. So they have 9 rookies, unless you count Taylor, who's on the IR, is 10. The financial aspects are good. My predictions coming out on Tuesday, a week from today. Am I going to change my original prediction, which was 10 wins? We're going to find out. I still believe the Raiders could work a trade or 2 or sign some guys. It all is going to depend on how this works out. They have the money, they're buyers. There are teams that want to buy and can't. The Raiders' fiscal discipline allows them to. Now, I've talked all offseason with you about the Raiders being investors and not gamblers. That's why you saw this roster fall out the way it did with the amount of youth. They're investing in their future. They understand good teams are investing their young guys all the time. You're developing in them, you're investing in them, you're making them into something special. It tells you how happy they are with the scouting department, how happy they are with their ability to ascertain, find, and develop talent and weed out any issues. Very, very good. I'm going to say this to you, and we're going to be done. There is an adage in football between hope and expect. Now, every one of those 9 rookies, or 10 if you count Taylor, I talked to you about, the Raiders hope they can be something. But they've never played a real down of NFL football, so they don't know. But there are other guys on the team, like a Malcolm Koonce, who going into last year, they hoped, but they hadn't seen a lot. Now they expect. Say, Hondo, what are you getting at? I'm getting at this. If you were to put Aaron Rodgers on this team, I think that the Raiders would not only make the playoffs, I think they would be competitive to win the AFC West. But he is one of those elite quarterbacks that come around very, 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 very limitedly. But if you were to take a very good quarterback, doesn't have to be an elite one like an Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of. When I say elite, I'm talking someone playing at a Hall of Fame level. If you were to find a really good quarterback, and I think this team is 10 wins, maybe 11. Okay. You have 2 quarterbacks that have proven in the NFL they can play at a good level. You have 2 of them, Gardner and Aiden. So, Raider Nation, as you go into this season, you're not going in with a false sense of hope. You have a right to expect it from these guys. They both had disappointing camps because they didn't move forward, but neither really went backward. And I think that there's a reason for hope here. I'm not a cheerleader. You do whatever you want. But I think there's a reason for hope. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. I appreciate you. You're the best. If you didn't see the roster, go to si.com/NFL/Raiders, where I put it up the moment after it happened. Got a lot of stuff coming for you. We'll see you all again tomorrow.